This is a presentation of SimWorld Sports.
Man, what do I feed here? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry there for the slight delay getting to you, but I am Elava, joined in the booth tonight by Marsh with Ron Yell, our producer, holding the strings behind us, and Houston and Africa underway here. You can see Africa in their red uniforms, Houston wearing the home white, and we are in Houston tonight for this matchup between Houston, just 6-9 on the year, Africa 2-1, and they have already knocked off U.S. high school competition, having beaten Jameson Johnson and Mid-Atlantic in Barcelona earlier this year, 69-60. So not going to see any fear from them. And not seeing any fear from Nick Donato either. A little 5'7" point guard stepping back, taking a three, nailing it, giving Houston a 5-2 early lead.
Well, the game that Africa really struggled against, I think it was Mountain West, I believe, or Midwest, excuse me.
Midwest,
They got dominated by good guard play. The good news for them coming in, though it hasn't looked that way so far, has been Houston doesn't really have an elite guard on their team, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare now against a team with a more big-oriented attack.
Well, Africa gets an early timeout here after falling behind 7-2. That was Carl Holmes. Picked up that rebound, put it back up in them. We're going to take one quick break ourselves here, make sure we got all the technical equipment set up correct, and it's a 7-2. Houston lead early, 6:10 to go, first quarter. All right, and we're back. Global versus USA matchup, and the Americans out of the gate strong here. Early 7-2 lead. Africa ball after that timeout, however. They get it in. There you see number 14 carrying the ball. That's Kofi Uzo, starting shooting guard for this team. It's in the hands of Bakario Bekpa, who's driving in, trying to push his defender in here. It's a jumper up, won't go. Obekpa was actually the 7th ranked international recruit at the start of this year, but he has fallen out of the SimWorld international rankings at this point.
You know, it's tough to gauge the international recruits because they just don't play nearly enough. And like we talk about third game here for Africa, are they the team that beat Mid-Atlantic by 9, or the team that got blown out by Midwest Select? It's tough to gauge with just 3 games of experience.
Well, I think that you made a good point right when we joined the broadcast, Marsh, which is that Africa definitely has struggled. Oh, look at that block right there. That's Obi Nowishki, the big 7'1" center out of Ghana who sends them the other way. And that's actually relevant to the point I was just about to make, which is that teams with good guards have definitely had their way with Africa. That's how Midwest beat them. But in spite of Jameson Johnson sort of being the elite post talent that he is, Africa, this Africa Select team has serious size. Okaji, 7'1" with that block you just saw a minute ago, but Aldonse Kaba, 6'10". Jay Sala off the bench to spell the two of them at 6'9". And while we're seeing Houston come out of the gate here playing pretty well, I think that Africa is going to hang around and hang in this one because I think they should match up pretty well with what Houston brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Houston side, Nick Donato, 5'7", Tristan Holmes, who is ranked at 26, he's only 6'2". On the other side, you've got Africa with Aji Fangbele. I'm not even bother. Aji is their point guard at 6'3", and then their two is Kofi Uzo at 6'5". So I would be interested to see how does Africa try to take advantage of that size. Again, the game they lost that they got blown out in, they just didn't win the guard battle. They're not winning it right now because Nick Donato is getting into the paint. Tristan Holmes here gets to the paint and gets to the free throw line. I think that's going to be the deciding factor if Africa either keeps this thing close even, or if this is a runaway blowout in the first game of our doubleheader tonight.
Second shot from Tristan Holmes. Up and good, and Houston extends the lead to 8 now. Both Tristan Holmes and his cousin Carl Holmes. Carl, the bigger of the two, at 6'7", to Tristan's 6'2", going to the University of Houston next year, staying at home.
And what a class, right, for the Cougars.
Great class.
Get those two, you get Freddie Stonewall, a well-coached program down there. They've really had a lot of success recently. It'll be I'm interested to see, despite the struggles that Houston and Atlanta have had individually, I'll be interested to see how those three kind of mesh together at the next level with the Cougars.
Another bucket for Nick Donato, who beats Africa Select down the court for an easy layup. And in spite of being
and a great finish.
Inches, nice finish there, and Donato picks up the foul. Obekpa drives and scores. Mentioned he was the 7th ranked international recruit at the start of this year, but only averaging 9.3 points and 1.7 rebounds a game. Obekpa, 6'5", 230-pounder out of Nigeria.
What you like to see out of that, I mean, counting stats are what they are. You know, I think stateside we see so many of these guys just putting up huge numbers, and the games they aren't quite the same. But when you look at Obekpa, 45% shooter from the floor, 75% shooter from the free throw line, as he makes this one 25% from deep. If that, once those numbers, once we get a larger sample size in 3 games, start to normalize, it would be interesting to see because his size and stature, profiles him as a really exciting potential prospect at the next level.
Well, speaking of being a prospect at the next level, I'll be interested to see what his impressions of this Houston trip is. The University of Houston, with, as you said, Freddie Stonewall and the Holmes cousins already signed and sealed to come next year. They're also heavily recruiting Obekpa, as well as his Africa teammate, Midi Gabinajay. Gabinajay out on the floor there now, comes off the bench, 6'4", 200-pounder, also out of Nigeria. And Obekpa, Gabinajay, both being recruited by Houston and LSU, so having this game on the schedule, very convenient for those two.
And, Nigeria has been a relatively good pipeline of NBA talent. I mean, they were a competitive team at the Tokyo Olympics, head coached by Mike Brown. They had a lot of struggles. I don't know if you ever saw that or read the article that The Athletic posted about the number of hurdles they had to get through, self-imposed by the country of Nigeria, just basically shortchanging their flights over there. So rather than taking a direct flight, they had like 2 or 3 layovers. And so by the time they got there, they didn't even have their credentials and whatnot. But it's a relatively good nation when it comes to developing talent at the next level.
Well, that was a nice stuff there by Carl Holmes. Got it in over Gabinajay, possible future Houston Cougar teammate. And Houston gets the lead back out to 7. Africa is hanging around here. As is usual, is getting some nice interior play. Almost came up with an offensive rebound there. Not quite pull it down. And another quick attempt, but another block for Africa. I think that's 3 blocks at least so far.
The size is definitely showing up for Africa right now. Just no one's smaller than what, 6'3".
6'3".
There
is
you
the
go.
point
again.
guard, AG Fagbenle. 6'3", which gives him an 8-inch advantage over the starting point guard on Houston, Nick Donato. And yes, he is the shortest player among the 10 on the Africa Select roster.
And he would
In
be
Africa,
the third biggest guy in Houston's starting five if he was on. I mean, it's just a massive group.
it is massively tall. Now, as I mentioned, not very good outside shooting. Africa definitely much more of a post and kind of screen and roll, drive kind of team. Only Kofi Uzo, the starting shooting guard, shooting any kind of reasonable percentage of all from deep. You mentioned Obekba is hitting 25%, but
well, my only concern with that number, E, is that he's shooting 75%. Africa has played 3 games, and his scoring average is 2.7, which tells me, and he's got a 100% free throw rate, and his field goal percentage is 75. So he has basically shot 4 threes in 3 games. He's made 3 of them, and that's it. He's just hanging around.
That is pretty much correct. It's a limited sample size for this Africa team. Beat Middle East handily to start the year and then suffered that loss to Midwest before recording a somewhat shocking upset. It was the first time any global team this year had beat the SimWorld high school team, but defeated Mid-Atlantic in Barcelona 69-60. Oh, nice inbounds, gets it underneath, but once again, I think intimidated by that African length, Houston kicks it out.
One thing do just want to add, as a nice finish inside there for Carl Holmes to the recruiting point, and then we can continue on, is that the National Signing Day really doesn't end the college recruitment cycle. Recruits can still sign after that day, so all that really means is it's more of a, more of a significant date on the calendar. So really, if an international player were to sign at this point, it would be with a team that still has scholarships or roster spots available. So just something to keep in mind as we talk about this. If somebody's saying, well, April, whatever has come and gone, they can't sign. They can. It's just a matter of if a college program has a spot.
Nice turnaround right there. Jay Sala, 6'9", 230-pounder out of Morocco, Tangier, only averaging 2 points per game, but pretty offensive.
He's got 4 already.
Oh, look at that step lead. Carl Holmes having a great first quarter here.
Carl Holmes, I wonder what he profiles like at the next level, because he's 6'7", 230, but you see right there he's nimble. He's 25% shooter from deep, which means that he's at least trying them. I'm curious to see what he looks like. I don't think he's a ground pound big. I think he's more of a stretch 4 kind of guy.
Sala with another offensive rebound here for Africa, giving them another chance this possession, and a 3 on the way, but just not their game. Gabinajay trying that one. He is still yet to hit a 3 yet this season. And the last shot of the first quarter looks like it will go to Houston. And that's probably the one you want shooting it. But Carl Holmes, his first missed shot. Can't get that at the buzzer. But all the same, nice 8 minutes of work there from Houston. And they are out to a 7-point advantage. We're going to take a quick break. Second quarter action coming back when we return. And we're back. Second quarter just about to get underway here in Houston. From the hometown team with a 7-point advantage. Carl Holmes, 4 of 5 shooting, 8 points to lead all scorers in the first quarter. but Kario Bekpa, 7 to start it for Africa. Oh, that's a nice feed, a nice bucket to start things off here for Houston. Second quarter of play.
It was a good first quarter there until the very end of it. I mean, Africa was hanging around until Houston kind of finished on a nice little jolt to build up that time 7-point lead.
Yet another block from Africa Select, but this time Aaron Matthews, the junior center, 6'8", 215 pounder, able to come up with the ball and stick it up in. Oh, nice drive here, and the finish goes down for AJ Fagbenle. First bucket of the game.
That was a great take, but I think it's indicative of the offensive approach that Africa has, that you had a man wide open in the corner and didn't even look that way, because I just think there's no interior or internal confidence in this team's three-point shooting ability.
Foul sends Smiley Johnson to the line. Johnson, a 6'3" senior. He's averaging 6 points a game and shoots 90% so far this year from the free throw stripe.
Take a break.
Johnson attempts to stretch the Houston lead to double digits. Out on that play by Mosi Injai Diata, himself 6'8" out of Sudan, and he is Africa's leading scorer on the season at 11 a game, but yet to find the hoop so far in this one.
You know, I think I'm most impressed right now by your pronunciation of these names.
Well, thank you. I've come to learn over the years when you don't pronounce that N and when you do. And speaking of an unpronounced N, you have Obi Wokeji, and there is an N to lead off that surname. But the big 7'1" Ghanaian back out there on the court. Another player being recruited by some big-time U.S. schools. And hey, look at that. Fagbenle, who was only hitting 13% from 3 on the season, drops that one in, cuts the lead back down to 8. But to get back to the big man, after we just saw a nice shot from the smallest man on the Africa squad, Wokeji, he recruited by Florida, Florida State, Texas also involved. You can clearly see the ability he has, and there he snags another rebound.
You know, they had. I'm a little surprised Jamison didn't go inside. He had a man wide open inside the paint there on that last possession, and he just decided to just hold it and get a much more difficult look at the end of the possession.
Jamison averaging 5.3 on the season, and he's going to TCU next year. Signed his paperwork to make that official a little while ago. Oh, that's a nice interior pass, and nice bucket for Africa. And they're back in this. They're back in this, Marsh. 6 points.
But that looked like he was in there for like 5 seconds in the lane. I'm just gonna say that he did not look like that was a 3-second rule.
It was ooh. Speaking of the number 3, each shot extends the lead back out to 9 for Houston. The point guard, Fagbenle has it, kicks it out. Ooh, Wokeji looked like he actually thought about that, didn't he?
That's a good
look
pass.
at that pass, however.
You know, I think that was Obekba again. He has had a phenomenal start to this game, and if Houston is serious about the recruitment of him, he couldn't pick a better game to have arguably his best game of the season.
Yeah, that's true. Smiley Johnson kicks it out to Jamison. Picks up a screen, but nice defense. Let's take a tough shot. Can't hit.
Speaking of
Africa.
Speaking of African natives, you need a. Oh, hold on. I'll hold that for a second.
Yep. Tristan Holmes, let's give him his due. Nice steal, nice finish. Lead back up to 9. But yeah, take it back there, Marsh. I think I know.
Well, we're seeing from here as we look across the court from where we're set up that Giannis Antetokounmpo has made the trip here down south in the midst of his exciting first conference semifinal series with the Celtics. He's here in Houston watching this game with us.
Well, there's a lot of potential future NBA talent on this Africa Select team and also on Houston, particularly the Holmes brothers, or Holmes cousins, excuse me. Carl, 6'7", 230-pounder, 11th ranked senior, and Tristan, 6'2", 26th ranked in the country. We see him over on the bench as Wokeji gets set to inbound for Africa, looking to cut into this lead. It's the ball into Obekpa's hands. Oh, I don't know if he threw that a little bit too high or if it just kind of slipped through Benley's fingers right there, but turnover on Africa, and once again Houston will have the ball and a chance to extend the lead to double digits.
It's definitely been difficult for Africa. Every time they seem to be getting into a rhythm, it's just they just don't have that guy. I mean, Obek was playing a good backside block there, but they don't seem to have that shot-making ability off the dribble.
No, defensively, Africa has actually played, I think, pretty well out here. We've seen right there they've given up probably a few too many offensive rebounds, just some spacing, positioning, not blocking out. But it's been a block party for Africa pretty much since this thing tipped off. I believe that's at least 5, and there was another. The Njai Diatta foul earlier was on a shot he did block.
Well, a lot of the blocks they aren't gathering those misses, right? They're leaving it open, and Houston's been able to get those and make a play out of it.
Well, they actually got the ball loose there twice, Africa did, but both times Houston able to come up with it. Nato has it now with the shot clock running out. Oh, evades his defender and drives right to the hoop. 5'7" senior out of Sugar Land, Texas, the starting point guard for Houston. Having a nice scoring night so far tonight, Nick Donato. I believe that's 9 in the game now for Donato. 3 on the way for Africa. Again, they just struggle so much with that aspect of the game. As a team, Africa can really only score at 2 levels. Oh, look at that passing. Nice pass from Carl Holmes to save that. And Donato feeling it, trying his luck once again. Nick Donato now double digits on this game. Houston up by 15. A little bit more than 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. And Africa definitely needs to kind of gather themselves here and make a little bit of run in this time remaining, I think. Get this thing at least back down to 10 or ideally single digits by the time we go to the break.
I mean, we said that this was an opportunity at the guard position for Africa to succeed. In the blowout loss, they were unable to contain the guards for Midwest. And Nick Donato doesn't profile as that type of elite guard, but he's playing like it tonight.
Oh, can't get that to go either. Rebound pulled away. Dre Carter gets that one for Houston.
And we just saw in that last possession why lack of perimeter shooting is so detrimental to Africa as a block there. Is Houston is able to relentlessly and without fear bring double teams to some of the better African players because they don't have any concern that a man left open on the perimeter is going to hurt them.
Yeah. Well, foul there on J.J. Ruff. He got matched up with the much bigger Chima Ndoye. Ndoye out of Senegal, 6'4". Averaging 6 points a game, and he's been perfect from the line so far in Africa's first 3 games. Let's see if he can maintain that status here, shooting 2.
And what they just did, Africa, on that last possession is basically what you need to do a little bit more of. So if the double team is coming, as you get that ball away, that, obviously speaking, you're going to have a 4-on-3 elsewhere. That guy has got to get the ball and attack the paint, and that's what we just saw. That's why he's at the line shooting 2, is because he got the ball and he attacked the paint. He didn't wait around for a defender to reset. Africa's going to need to do more of that if they're not going to hit the threes and make Houston afraid of the threes. They're going to have to get downhill and get to the rack.
And I think that's really what Mosi Njai Diatta, who is the leading scorer on this team, he comes in off the bench, and he's just back in the game right now, number 25 out there in red, averaging 11 a game. Principally, that's what he brings to the table on offense for this Africa Select side, and I think if they're going to have a chance to make this competitive, he's going to need to get that going in the second half. Ideally in the last minute 30 here as well, but Another bucket for Houston, and that lead is once again 15. High as it's been all game.
Well, what we haven't seen a ton of is the 7-footers actually mattering right now for Africa. They haven't used that height advantage to an advantage. They've really just allowed themselves to become a perimeter team.
Well, another good defensive stop there from Africa. Oh, and a pretty pass. Injai Diata. Benajay there. Sudan to Nigeria connection on that bucket. And it's back down to 13, under a minute to play, first half.
I mean, because you watch this, Africa's doing a really good job at the point of attack. They're forcing later in the shot clock attacks and shot attempts. The problem is they're just not careening the misses.
Well, I also think what's interesting right now is if you look at the Houston 5 out there, you have both J.J. Ruff and Nick Donato in the backcourt for Houston. That's two 5'7" players trying to battle these tall trees of Africa Select. Now, I guess it's been working so far for Coach Tim Schumacher of Houston. Can't complain, but
the more that Africa allows themselves to take these three-point shots, the harder this game is going to get for them, because it plays right into the hand of Houston. Oh, there it is.
There you go. Jay Sala able to finish that one off. Just 2.3 seconds, and assuming Houston doesn't hit a desperation shot here, and they're not even going to attempt one, lead is back down to 11. Not good effort there. Last couple of minutes from Africa Select. Pull themselves somewhat back into this game, but you know, Marsh, I think let's bring Yells in here. Yells, what'd you see on that? And what can we do to maybe hope get a little bit more competitive ball game in the second half?
Maybe Africa can get Giannis on the field. I was talking to Giannis over there. He's got his eyes on this Conley kid. Apparently has some connections to this Conley kid on Team Africa. But aside from that, yeah, when you're a team out there, you're small 6 feet, you cannot let the little guys on the team use them. Nick Donato, J.J. Ruff, anyone under 6'3" getting buckets is the thing. And I think they need to utilize it a lot.
Well, keeping in mind that Houston only has 3 players who are taller than 6'3", could be a tall order there, but looking good right now. Houston, double-digit lead. We're going to take a little break here, come back, more second half action.
Thanks for dressing up for us.
Second half just underway here in Houston. Hometown Houston Stars with an 11-point lead over Africa Select. Nick Donato, 11 points, team high and game high. The little point guard. Having a nice one so far, and with that, Kristen Holmes has a dozen now.
I think that was Smiley there.
Oh, that was Smiley Johnson. Oh, okay. Misidentified. Smiley Johnson there with the bucket.
Who wears 36? I mean, come on.
You
Was
were
Shaquille O'Neal at the end of the career?
Oh, here comes Obekba. Finds a lane. Can't get it to go, but second chance opportunity up and in. And there's your man, Giannis's man, Aldonce Cava, 6'10" out of Mali. Averaging more than 7 points, 4 rebounds a game so far. Donato lines up a 3 and drains it.
I mean, this we talked about it when Africa got blown out in their only loss of the season. Oh my goodness!
Well,
gosh,
they have their moments at least. Vicario Beckcliff, strong. Ooh, and almost a takeaway there. Comes a backcourt violation, however, and will remain Houston ball. There's another one of those blocks, and you know, we were talking about this in the first half, Marsh. And Africa, I think had a total of 5 first-half blocks, which is pretty impressive. Yet Houston out-rebounded them as a team, which surprising, just given the height advantage that they have out here.
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of those have come off of block shots from Africa. So they're doing a great job on the initial point of attack, but they're not maintaining that throughout the defensive possession. It's just they get lazy after basically 12 seconds of defense. They assume that's enough to get the job done, and obviously it's not.
Becker going to try a 3, can't get it to go. Up the other way in a hurry, and that's Smiley Johnson lays it in.
And that's where that poor three-point shooting for Africa, not only does it hurt them on the offensive end, but then it gives Houston a chance to immediately get out in transition. And here we go again. They just have the men to be able to do that for Houston.
Ooh. Carl Holmes cannot finish that play off. Made a nice steal. Come up with the ball. Benley trying to back his man down. Beckba, excuse me.
Ooh. He deserves to be on some radar right now. I mean, he is playing outstanding basketball for Africa right now.
I mean, super talented, Vicario Beckba. The team captain, he's a quiet kid, but he's very focused on team success. Isn't necessarily always looking to get his, maybe to his detriment. Actually, only the 3rd leading scorer on this team, Obekba, averaging 9.3. That puts him behind the point guard, Greg Benley, and Injai Diata, leading scorer with 11 off the bench. But I've seen a little bit more aggressiveness than what I've seen in some earlier games from Vicario Beckba tonight, and maybe trying to put on a little show for this hometown crowd and these scouts sitting out there. LSU, Houston, and more. And looking to make an impression, and has on us so far, even though Africa has struggled mightily in this game.
He's given off some Luke Mute vibes, right? A lengthy, good athletic wing, not a great perimeter shooter, but a good job of getting downhill. He's playing well.
Well, I want to remind everybody that coming up after this one, almost or approximately a half hour after this game ends, maybe a little bit less, we'll see what we can do. We have more SimWorld High School action coming up, and we're moving west. We're going to LA, Los Angeles, back on my turf, Marsh. And we're getting New York and West Coast in a rematch. Remember that West Coast knocked New York out in a 80-78 thriller in the Stars of Tomorrow semifinal, also in Los Angeles earlier this year. So for LA, or for West Coast, it's a chance to get another signature victory over New York. And Tim Bellardi in New York will be looking to avenge one of their few defeats so far this year.
Well, the player that I'm really excited to see is Lace Darius Outlaw. At the beginning of the year, he was a guy that I thought could have been the best player in all of SimWorld High School hoops. His offense. Oh, he didn't finish it though.
Another block.
My gosh. I mean, I love the confidence from Smiley Johnson though to say, look, you're 6 inches taller than me. I really don't care. I'm going after you.
Well, Marsh, I know that you're, a student of the game. Is Houston doing this intentionally, driving in and not really caring about the fact that all these shots are getting swatted because it opens things up for them on the outside? I don't see them really kind of losing confidence here.
No,
inside on Africa.
I think that goes back to what this team is, the makeup of this group is. It's guys that are good. And Broniel, I'll pitch it to you closer to the action.
Yeah, so appreciate it. I was talking to Coach Hamilton, Schumacher, and he was stating, hey, his guys have no fear of this Team Africa. They heard a lot of talk about them being too small, and apparently Team Africa had a little bit to say. Don't know what language they were saying and how it was interpreted. But Team Houston heard a little bit about this, so they're definitely going right at the rim, and Coach Schumacher said, do your thing. He gave them the green light.
Raniel, thank you for that. And I suspect Africa was speaking the international language of chirping at you. But whatever bulletin board material Houston and Coach Schumacher got from that, it seems to have worked. Houston out comfortably here. Africa again, it's really kind of a tale of two ends of the court for them. On defense, they're playing pretty well. They're playing incredibly. I mean, there's just a tough shot by J.J. Ruff that he drained. But on offense, just simply cannot get it going against Houston tonight. Not at all.
No, it's self-inflicted. It's settling for perimeter jump shots. A good take there by Obekpa, but they're settling for perimeter jump shots because they're open and not saying this is the product of of what we're trying to get out of our offense, right? So on the opposite end, Houston is saying we want to get inside, and then that is going to open it up, shooting opportunities for us outside. Africa's kind of like, we're going to take a shot and we're going to hope it goes in, and if we make enough of them, maybe we got a chance to win.
Beck at the line, 75% free throw shooter, gets the first to go, and see Chima Ndoye coming in the game as there's some subs coming in the game for Africa. Jay Sala back out there too. Sala, the big man reserve off the bench, the Moroccan, had a nice first half. Actually, the second unit for Africa probably played better than the first unit over the first 16 minutes of this game, I'd say.
And that, that goes to, I'm not even going to try to get his last name, but Mosi's approach off the bench, scoring 11 points a game. They just have a little bit more dynamicism off the bench with their second unit than they do with their starters.
J.J. Ruff has it outside. Drives the paint and puts it in. J.J. Ruff, 5'7", 175-pound junior out of Friendswood, Texas. Reserve point guard for this team.
And you asked, why is that part of the strategy, just go inside? As many blocks as Africa has gotten, it seems as if the only shots that they're contesting inside are the ones they block. Because some of these other looks are just uncontested drives to the paint.
Desperation three from Obekpa won't go. He was forced well outside the three-point arc there on that one. Chance for Houston to extend the lead to 20 now. Nice pass from Holmes. Oh, can't pick up the assist. Finish won't go. Africa quickly up the other way, and they have numbers this time. Oh, but good
defense.
Yes, nice recovery.
And that's where Houston's winning. It's on the margins. You build enough on the margins that it starts making a difference. On one end, you have guys get back. They make a contested look on transition attack with the opposing team. They force a miss, and then they immediately come down and they get a wide open, uncontested transition look at the other end.
Obekpa tries another three, can't get that one to go. 20-point lead for Houston is a game high. We're under a minute to go now in the third quarter. Houston Stars in control of this one, and Tristan Holmes
I mean, Holmes is getting to where he wants. That's the second time in the last 3 or 4 possessions where Holmes has just driven into the paint, found himself an easy mid-range bucket, and put it home.
Well, for a player, Tristan Holmes, deadly outside shooter. It was silky smooth all-around game. Did have more than 60 in one game as a junior last year.
Hey.
And there, finally, is a 3. Put up and in. Africa Select.
Mosi finally gets one to fall. First of the
And
season.
Mosi Njadiata gets a 3 to fall there. That's his first made three-pointer of the year as well. Oh, and on the other end, nice gather. Not a great pass, but a nice gather. Aaron Payne, the 6'10 junior from Alief, Texas.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of miscommunication there, but ends up getting it to the biggest man on the court there for Houston.
And Njadiata can't get that shot to go, and that will bring us to the end of the third quarter. Houston in control of this one all the way, and they've broken things open now. They are ahead by 21. 8 minutes to go. Fourth quarter coming up after these messages. 8 minutes left to play in this one. Houston, a big 21-point lead. Want to remind everybody again that after this game, we have Che King and New York taking on Lace Darius Outlaw and West Coast in a rematch between those two teams in Los Angeles, where they played their game earlier this year. Oh, nice feed, and Kaba stuffs.
Yeah, a rare easy basket inside for Africa.
Yeah.
They just haven't probed inside at all. I think they're now being outscored by 12. They just haven't tried to get into the paint whatsoever, or if they have, it's just, I mean, they're shooting 61% coming into the fourth quarter in the paint, but they're not executing it or getting inside very often.
Outscored in the paint 40-26 before this period.
That's
42-28 now with the exchange of buckets, but yeah, Africa obviously showing that length in some ways. 6 blocks in this game to none for Houston, but getting out-rebounded, getting outscored in the paint, outworked, just comprehensively beaten by Houston, at least so far tonight.
And again, I mean, we talked about it from the jump. We haven't called a lot of Carl Holmes, but the benefit for Houston has been the play of Nick Donato. I mean, he has come out. He's had a phenomenal game at the point. When Africa has struggled, it's been because an opposing point guard has gotten into the paint and started to kind of mix things up. Africa just never was able to slow down the point of attack. And that game they won was a 69-60. It was not a
it was
slugfest.
low scoring. That's right.
They could easily get to 69. I mean, they won't get to 69 tonight, but they could easily get to the 60s. But
right.
they don't have the offensive firepower to get beyond that, and Houston already going to surpass that total. Boy.
3 on the way from J.J. Ruff, and boy, Ruff came into this game shooting 46% from beyond the arc, so he may not be quite in the class of the elite shooters. 46 though is pretty good, and he has been shooting well tonight. And as a team, Houston really good. I mean, it is a compare and contrast here. Africa basically doesn't really have any outside game at all. Houston, on the other hand, Tristan Holmes, fantastic outside shooter. We've seen J.J. Ruff tonight. The other 2 guards, Chris Carter and Nick Donato, very good shooters as well. And for that matter, Carl Holmes can even take and make from out there. So definitely a contrast in styles, contrast in teams that we've had here tonight in Houston. And one clear winner, at least over the 36 minutes of this game. 32, excuse me.
And Houston comes in tonight as the best 3-point shooting percentage-wise team in SimWorld High School hoops. But not only are they a better 3-point shooting team, but it's as if these two teams are playing different games altogether. Because you take Carl Holmes, who no one is going to look at Houston and say Carl Holmes is a threat from deep. But you put him on Africa, and suddenly he's probably your best 3-point shooter, and he comes into the night shooting 25%. So it's just a team in Africa that's just not really equipped for what they want to play.
Well, they have had some highlight moments. There's another one from Obi Wokeji. Mentioned before, the 7'1" big man out of Kumasi, Ghana. Only averaging 4 points a game, but 2 with authority there, and that's just some nice work down low from Carl Holmes. You're right, we haven't been talking about him a lot tonight, but hey, 16 points. He's right almost on his average. One more bucket and he'll have it.
Well, the thing about it is that he's just, oh my goodness. Oh, he could finish that.
Shot to go though. That is Africa in a microcosm right there.
And then
at the other
transition
end,
defense headed back the other way. Yeah, that is exactly that game. If you wanted to say why did Houston win this game going away, show them that 15-second clip of a missed open 3 and no transition defense.
All right, so producer Roniel, I hope you heard that. Capture that 15-20 seconds right there. When you put that on Discord, if you missed this game, it was just this over and over.
You don't need to watch the whole thing. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Smiley Johnson, driving and dealing. 22-point lead now for Houston as we come up on the halfway mark of the fourth quarter. And their high water mark of a lead just continues to edge up. Oh, however, Wokeji kind of coming alive here a little bit.
I mean, you look at those field goal percentage numbers on the screen, 44% from the game from Africa. It's not going to win you the majority of your games, no. But it's good enough to win you basketball games, or at the very least, to not lose by 20. And the fact that they're shooting 45% in general, despite being like, what, 2 of everything from deep, it's a testament to what this team is just. They're not playing to their advantages. They're playing into what the defense gives them, and if the defense does that, you're going to win. And there's another 3, and there's a surprise in me.
Benley again was only shooting 13% coming into this one, but nails that one. Another Nigerian. There are a grand total of 4 players from Nigeria on this Africa Select side, including Benley, Obekpa, Amari Achiuwa, and Hamidi Gabinajay. And that does cut the lead back down to 17.
Stop flexing on us over there. You just read everyone's name just to show us that you can do it.
Well, some of these are challenging. Definitely with the SimWorld Global squads. World East, Asia Pacific can throw some challenging names at you. Certainly Africa as well, for that matter. Even Europe has a couple tongue twisters. But Amidi Gabinajay, Chima Ndoye.
Yep. Keep it going.
And Obi Wokeji might be the most fun to say on this team. And fortunately, I've gotten a chance to at least mention a few of these guys a couple times today. Clearly, Africa going home with a 500 record after this one. They're going to fall to 2-2, but some players have had some moments. And again, if you're an LSU or Houston Cougars scout sitting in the stadium watching this game right now, I do think you have to be intrigued by what Bakari Obekpa can bring to the table. And I know some of these schools are also looking at the big man, Obi Wokeji. And you can't teach 7'1", and he's actually had some moments where he's shown off a little bit of skill tonight too.
Yeah, I mean, you take away it.
There you go, Bakari.
You just have to say he's been the one that has been the most prominent, and he's in a position I don't think that fits him well. He's super athletic. He's a good defender. He'd be almost better served next to a stretch big like Carl Holmes. I mean, again, Carl Holmes is not a great stretch big. 25% is not a dangerous one, but you at least have to pay attention to it. And Obekpa's just on a team where there's just no floor spacing around him, forcing him to play into a position that doesn't benefit his skill set.
Holmes coming to the line. Holmes, a 79% free throw shooter, and if he makes these both, he'll have 18 points, just about on his 17.9 per game average. He gets the first to fall.
And you do have to like the upside of what Holmes shows, because he does it quietly. 18 points on most nights is, wow, this guy really came out and played a phenomenal game. But it was Nick Donato that caught the headlines. It was J.J. Ruff hitting 2 or 3 triples. But Holmes is just that type of steady contributor where you don't get... He doesn't have a highlight package that will lead SportsCenter top 10, but he's going to give you the same production every night.
Super steady Carl Holmes. Texas is Mr. Basketball and also a McDonald's All-American this year. Playing for the victorious West Side. Ooh, nice drive, but that one Nick Donato can't get to go. We're under 2 minutes now. Wrapping things up here.
If we want to, if you use the last 2 minutes to scout what's out there. Obekpa, again, we've talked about him a lot, but that last possession against a guy that is 10 inches smaller than him, he was able to stay in front of him, went one-on-one, didn't get beat by a much shiftier player, and was able to just play that possession defensively incredibly well.
Well, Donato gets another bucket. Nick Donato only averages 7.4 a game. He's broken out for 16 here. Nice performance from him. Of course, Carl Holmes just talking about. Tristan Holmes didn't need a ton from him tonight for Houston, but he contributed too. Generally, all around nice game from the Houston Stars. They're going to improve to 7-9 on the year.
But didn't that 16? It just felt so much more than that. Like if you told me Nick Donato ended with 23, I'd be like, yep, that's the impact that his 16 points had on the game. Is it felt so much bigger.
Well, I think that felt kind of comes in. You know, that's an important word you use there. What it reminds me of, and I hate giving away my age during these broadcasts, but it reminds me when I went to a movie theater years and years ago and I saw the first Wayne's World movie. And I had somewhere between no expectations to a mild expectation it would probably be terrible when I went in to see it. And because it was actually mildly funny, I was like, this is amazing. This movie's great. And I think that's a little bit of what we've seen with Nick Donato tonight. Just didn't expect that, and suddenly there it is. So that's the reference that comes to mind for me there. And apologies to the Donato family for the Wayne's World comparison, but I think it's apt.
You know, when a guy doubles his points per game, you know, output in a single night, you know, I think regardless of who it is, it's more likely that a 7.5 point per game score is going to double his production than an 18 point per game score, and certainly both times that happens, it's going to stand out. It just so happened that, you know, you knew Carl Holmes was going to play well. You knew Tristan Holmes was going to play well, but when you get production like that from Nick Donato, I mean, Houston's not going to lose a lot of basketball games.
And there, and again, maybe this is appropriate too, you just saw a nice pretty drive, and Chris Carter, all 5'6" of him, scoring over Wokage, about 3 feet away from the bucket.
Good pass.
Nice pass there, nice bucket. Minute to play now, just coming to the end of this one. Well, you know, you've got New York and West Coast coming up after this one. Hope you're going to stick around. Watch that too. It should be about a half hour after the final buzzer here. And also, while we're wrapping things up, want to give some credit, give a little shout out to Powerade. Thank you, Powerade, for being the beverage sponsor of SimWorld High School athletes, coaches, and most importantly, the broadcasting crew. Featuring Rick Blaze, who assures me it mixes well with so many things.
Well, I'll just say this. I don't think it's the best electrolyte drink that begins with a P. I'm more of a Pedialyte man myself. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
I think Pedialyte is slept upon in the electrolyte beverage universe.
Oh, if I get sick, that's what I'm going for first.
I don't even need to be sick, Eric. I don't need to be sick to drink Pedialyte. Give me that stuff.
Well, if you're an Africa fan, you probably feel a little bit sick right now. Had much higher hopes, would come in here and challenge Houston the same way they did with Mid-Atlantic earlier this year. But fantastic performance, the Holmes cousins, and Nick Donato, quite possibly your game MVP. 81-64 is your final. Thanks for being with us. Remember, in just about 30 minutes, we're going to be back. We're going to move things over to Los Angeles, watch Che King and New York go up against Lace Darius Outlaw and West Coast. That should be a good one, folks. We'll see you in a few.